Yeah, this one is for both of you. What are your favorite episodes out of season 1 and 2 and 3? If you happen to do this after season 3,
which is exactly what we wanted to do just for you, Anon.
Yeah.
Okay, so
it's hard to pick a
it's hard
favorite.
to pick. So how about this will make it easier. Think of your favorite episodes from season 1. How about that? We'll go by season from season.
I do think it might be cheating a little, but I like the premiere, the hour-long first episode.
Oh, that is a very strong first episode.
Right, and it's incredible because it does so much. I mean, yes, it's
really,
an hour long.
Lets you get to know these characters.
Yeah, but it definitely feels so much better than other premieres that I've seen, because some of them
I was hooked.
Yeah.
Like.
Oh yeah,
it's like and sinker.
And it's so funny because I've seen a lot of season premieres of shows that felt either they were trying to do too much or it was
not
too
enough,
yeah.
And you felt like okay,
and
this
some of them felt like
needs more.
and some of them like there's and as much as I love the show Firefly, watching the season 1 premiere, oh my gosh, like the first episode, it felt like it was 2 or 3 hours long, and I was like, it was doing so much, and it was dragging, and it was just like, and the rest of the show, don't get me, it's great, but that premiere...
Until it got canceled.
Yeah, until it got canceled, but that first part dragged, but it says even though this was 3 times the length of a normal episode, it feels like just the regular length of an episode, because you don't notice that it's an hour long.
Because it really does kind of, the way it's paced, it does feel like you happen to just watch 2 episodes, and not 1 episode, because they pretty much just, to combine the first 2 episodes is just 1 hour long thing, because if it's like, hey, let's take the first 2 episodes but put them together as a premiere, because it literally is paced like a premiere, like an hour long premiere, but really well. And
it establishes everything you need to know about the main characters, everything you need to know about the new cast, like when we're introduced to Allura and Corin. It says it establishes all the stuff you need to know for the plot.
As soon as they saw the castle, I remember geeking out because I'm like, oh my god. Granted, I was disappointed because there was no nanny, which that's going to bring into changes I would make, but that would go into, because any changes I would make are changes I'd make from future characters I want to see in the show, because I'm just like, dang it, where's Nanny? Nanny was funny. That was another character I remember, freaking Nanny. But as soon as I saw the silhouettes, I'm just like, okay, there's 2 elves. Zelda? Like, just long-haired girl with elf ears. I was just like, Princess Zelda? But then I was like, wow, that's a very different character design. But I like it because of Coran and Allura in the original show don't look really that much different, because if it's established that the Voltron team is from Earth, whereas this is planet Erusia, as it's called, which is funny because that's the planet that the castle is called, the Erusians. So I'm like, I like that they still reference that the original defenders of the universe, but they instead said, no, the race that Allura is actually what the name of their race was in the Japanese, Altea, which it's the same thing with the Galra. They had a different name. Oh, I completely forgot. I think it was like Druid or something like that. I can't remember. Like I said, it's been decades for me.
Deck of Thieves.
Shut up. Since I watched the old show, because I was a little kid when it came on, but I just I thought that was cool. Like, oh, okay, so you're still like putting like, here's the planet, and then but we'll like take little bits of Go Line, as Tim said, you know, you're pulling some of the best parts from all these different things and you're melding it into one show, but also making it one thing. So that was a fun thing. But just as soon as I saw those cryopods, I knew exactly who it had to be. I mean, granted, since Nanny was absent, I'm like, that has to be Coran and Allura. And sure enough, the orange hair, the mustache, and I'm like, yep, that's Coran, all right. I mean, granted, he looks different, but what I like is in the old show, they look just like humans, yet they're supposed to be aliens. There's nothing that wouldn't set them apart. Whereas this show, it's like, yeah, they're very humanoid, but Allura and Coran like look like something out of like a video game, like some fantasy alien race. Like,
it's like, you know, they have the pointy ears,
they have these markings,
the face markings, and
then
the weird hair and coloring.
Allura's got like this cloud,
Nia Teplin hair,
like these cloudy hair, but also both of their eyes, like such a deep shade of blue. But what we found interesting in all the Altanes that we'd noticed, like even Honerva had this, even though
before she became
Hagar, is inside their pupils, just like Nia, they had like this interesting, like, where Nia had like that little pink cross. I was like, Allura, Coran, Alfor, and Honerva from the Altane characters, and even characters like Hera that we saw, they all have like this little pink dot inside the pupil, which both of us jokingly said, because the first time we noticed it was actually on Allura, and I was just like, wait a second, pink inside blue, like
it's
Allura inside the blue line, like.
And this goes back to that visual storytelling, this little detail that it's like, and you know, I would call this a coincidence, except we've seen too many details that are purposeful. This has to be on purpose.
It's like there are so many visual cues, and that's why I said, like, watching the first episode is great, because we see these things after watching the episode. So the first episode only becomes better and better. But what other episodes do you like from season 1?
I think when the castle gets invaded by the Galra, it's like, and that's episode 4, I believe?
I think so.
It's like, it's really not even all that long into the season when the castle gets invaded by, and what really stuck out to me when we were rewatching this is that the bad guy's plan is so brilliant.
Yeah, it's actually really well thought out. And you would think, because Tim actually brought it out whenever he was just like, oh my gosh, I was so afraid like it was going to be like other shows where it just blows up and all the cute little innocent critters are dead, and then Allura angst, and oh no, it's all dark and
that was definitely where I had the first time I was watching it.
But then the show writers are like, yeah, but that's something a terrorist would do. These are coordinated, and granted, sure, they're tyrants, but they're military people, so they strategically did things what a military would do. A military is not going to just innocently attack, innocently attack innocent civilians.
No, they have an objective.
They have an objective. It was to cripple the Voltron team. So you take out the power source. The bomb goes and blows up their power.
Well, no, but here's what they do is that they take one of the, because they noticed that the Pidge had taken one of their Galra drones and was basically reprogrammed it to, you know, fly around with her and help her out. So then they realized, okay, no, we can get that command code, and they basically hacked it to make. They took a droid and they basically copied it, and they made it infiltrate, and they went in, and everyone says, oh, well, that's just Pidge's robot Rover. No big deal. So then
bring Rover back.
Yeah. So then it goes in there, and it flies in, and goes to their power crystal.
And funnily enough, it was actually Lance that noticed that something was off, because he's like, wait, the robot's always following Pidge, because Pidge programmed it, you know, to follow her wherever she goes.
Yeah.
Unless she commands it to do something.
Right. So, and then it goes and it blows up the crystal, and then...
And injures poor Lance, because if he saved Karan by pushing Karan out of the way, poor Lance got the brunt of all that blow.
Yeah, so their power is down. They're
down a Paladin.
Yeah, they're down a Paladin. They make the Galra make their move in, and you would think, okay, well, what are they going to do with the power out?
And then with the power outage, suddenly they were just like, oh no, we're vulnerable. But then, suddenly, one of the Erusians comes running in. They were just like, help, they're attacking our village. And suddenly you see the Erusian village on fire. So Keith and Allura run to go help, and now there's a bomb situation. So they were just like, okay, divide and conquer. We'll send Keith and Allura to go help the Erusians, and we'll keep Shiro and Pidge and Karan behind to watch over Lance and protect the castle and the Erusians and try to help get the power back on. But then... They realize, as soon as Keith gets there, he realized we've been set up, because of it. It's just nothing but broken robot like parts of the.
It was just dummies there that were there to look like soldiers.
And they just set the village on fire, and that was it. Because then the forces are further blown apart, because of now you're down not only one Paladin, but now you managed to take another Paladin far away, and the princess, who can pilot the castle, by the way.
So the Galra have...
So all they have to contend with is just Pidge and Shiro. And they take out Shiro because they threaten Lance. And Karan can't do anything, poor guy. And so Pidge, because she was originally planning to leave, was actually managed to be hidden away for good enough time to help buy them some time.
So, one of the things you would think about in this plan is, okay, so the castle's power is down. It's only a matter of time before, you know, the Voltron comes in and stops them. Then they bring their own Galra crystal in, and they power the ship with that, or the castle with that.
Because then they're going to fly the castle, because all the lions are inside the castle in their hangars, and it's like, we're just literally going to gift wrap it to Zarkon. And I'm like, holy crap, that is a very well thought out plan.
And it would have worked if it hadn't been for
those dang meddling Pidge.
Yeah. So, you know, we get it, and they ultimately end up stopping them. But the whole plan, and even the way that the Voltron team beat them, it all felt so well planned and so earned. And
it was great.
It's one of those things where writing.
And it's a great Pidge episode too.
Oh yeah, it's great because she really gets to shine. But it's something that you don't really see as much because I know you and I talked about this a little bit earlier. When you have like trying to show brilliance in a character, especially with a villain, it can be difficult to do it without feeling ham-fisted.
And it's so funny because Sindak was a one-time villain.
Yes.
Because after that, you don't really see him.
Well, he dies in that,
Yeah, whenever poor Shiro has PTSD and then he ends up ejecting Sindak into space.
Bye, Sindak.
But it was like, what's so great is you took a one-note villain and actually made him a genuine threat despite the fact that you're never going to see this villain again. Like, wow. And it really sets up the Galra Empire because this is just a one-note villain. You're like, well, what's the rest of these dang guys?
What's Zarkon gonna be like? And oh my gosh, do you see Zarkon? And
Zarkon's a beast.
Yeah, and I think bringing up the end of season 1 finale might be another favorite episode.
Oh yeah.
It's like I love all the individual episodes and all the individual stories, but I think that ending is.
Oh yeah, and the plot twist, which is something that would shock not just new fans to the show, because wow, the villain was the original Black Paladin, so the original Voltron. Old fans of the show would be like, whoa, what?
Zarkon was a paladin, and it makes so much sense because originally when they're first given the suits and they're given their Bayards,
Shiro's Bayard is missing.
Yeah, and then Allura's like, we don't have the Black Paladin Bayard.
It was lost, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
Zarkon had it the whole time.
Yes, and then he pulls it out and he starts whipping out all these different weapons and he's just like crushing ships, like denting the metal of his own
and
like
it just
mothership.
shows you because if he's had this thing for years.
10,000 years.
And so it's like, wow, so we see that the paladins can form the blade into like, but it's like, I think Allura said like into whatever weapon best suits you. But what is really interesting is that Zarkon can make it change into multiple forms, which implies that if a paladin is skilled enough, like Zarkon is, as like even season 3 notes, like how originally back when he was a good guy, he's a genius when it comes to military combat and stuff like that. So obviously a seasoned warrior like Zarkon, he can turn it into any weapon, but then that means, well, any of the paladins could have that capability if they so channel that.
And it's something interesting you see in season 3.
Because even Lance was able to change it.
Yeah, because his normal Bayard weapon is basically an assault rifle. But we see in season 3, and it's not even something they bring attention to.
Well, yeah,
he has a sniper rifle.
Because I remember in season 4, it was like basically the same like, assault rifle originally whenever in episode 4. Because I saw him firing that, because he was firing on those robots. It was just the red shape, but I was like the normal gun, the red shape, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. But then you see in the Never episode, it's a sniper rifle, and I'm like, wow, so Lance is really learning how to like really utilize that, and I'm like, that's actually really cool. It's subtle.
Oh, and it's something that we really hope. We were talking about this. We really hope to see the other paladins use.
Give Allura a bow staff.
Yes, I know. As I mentioned that before, it's like we want Allura to have the staff because she was so bamf with that in the season 2 finale. But and then she has in season 3 when she becomes a paladin, she has this really cool like laser whip, and it was just like
Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's the cool thing about Zarkon, that you find out all that interesting thing, and then of course that leads into interesting story ideas that you're like, wow, how did all this happen? But then it's also like, wow, knowing how experienced he was with just that Bayard. So then because all the guys are just new at this. So just knowing, wow, how these kids can one day become.
Well, and we even see that Zarkon overpowered Shiro's control of the Black Lion
Which
and literally ejected him from it.
Like just, wow. Well, some people theorize, they're like, what if that was just the Black Lion trying to protect Shiro? But like, no, I think it was because it was like genuinely like him trying to take control.
Yeah, because you have 2 different people who are both paladins of it, trying to take control and
he was forcibly trying to take control, so it would make sense. Like, so technically both fan interpretations could be correct. Maybe it was because of Zarkon was trying to take control, and Zarkon was trying to obviously harm Shiro, but the Black Lion at the same time, while acknowledging that there's an old paladin, at the same time he's got a new paladin, so it's just like, I'll just eject you from away from Galra captivity.
Yeah.
You've been through enough as it is. You got enough gray hairs as it is.
Yeah, but
and that's the other thing, because everybody was theorizing, especially whenever they went to go rescue Allura at the end of season 3, because of as there's a shot where you see multiple projection images of Hagar surrounding Shiro, and that is a deliberate thing because of that's how the original Takashi Shirogane died, because if Hagar was just like messing around with the poor guy, and then eventually her freaking cat mauled him. But she had all those illusions, and I'm just like, so I remember everybody who was like original fans of the original show, not new fans of the original show. I remember on Tumblr, live blogging, just freaking out like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, please don't kill Shiro, oh my gosh, because like everybody knew that was the moment when they saw that, and then suddenly Shiro lives, and the people were just like, oh, they're like, don't you do that to us, don't you scare us like that. And then when we all saw that season 2 trailer, and we were just like, stop, because they made Shiro such a likable character. But then that goes into because I do like all those episodes. One of the episodes I really loved in season 1 was but he's already explained obviously why that episode, the first episode, was great, and obviously why episode 4 is great and the last episode great. One of the episodes that I really loved, that I'm trying to get into thinking, I like the episode, the Balmera episodes, because one, you get a little bit more of Hunk, which is just like, and I'm like, wow, look at this, Bolin done right, gosh dang it. So yeah, because like I said, we're forever salty about Legend of Korra.
Yep.
But I liked it because of how interesting these race of people are, and how they have this symbiotic relationship with this sentient planet that they live on.
Petrified planet that's also still alive.
It's an animal, but it's a planet, and there's like, essentially the people are technically like are fleas or something like that if you really think about it in that sort of regard. But no, but they have a symbiotic relationship.
They take these crystals, but then they give their own personal energy to it, and it sort of never really runs out of actual its own power. And
as I jokingly said to him, because of them, whenever Koran was talking to Hunk about how beautiful Balmeras are, whenever you get to the surface, he's like, you're in for a treat, and suddenly you see nothing but like all this like Galra factory stuff like that, and like outposts and towers and barren. And I jokingly said to him, but it's true, and I said, wow, a green Aesop that's subtle?
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not trying to hammer you in over your head like industrialism is bad. It's just simply these people have no respect for the creature.
In fact, that does remind me of you remember in book 3 of Avatar: The Last Airbender?
Oh yeah.
When they go into that one, I think it was a river that was being polluted. By,
the Painted Lady.
Yeah,
episode.
the Painted Lady episode. It was like, and then you find out that it's like, yeah. It wasn't because this is industry and it's bad.
It's just simply that the Fire Nation forgot their roots. Yes, sure, they're progressing so much, but they also lost respect for the land that they came from.
And they were destroying that little river village on the river,
hurting their own people.
Yeah, because they were just on a quest for power.
And it's like yes, that's like industrialism is good and cool in so many ways, but I liked this episode because it wasn't trying to hammer you in over your head like, if you like technology, you're 100% evil. It's just simply
her technology is evil. Thomas Edison is a witch.
Yeah, basically. But it was just simply like, the Galras have no respect. All they're doing is taking resources, and you don't even have to say it's just simply a green Aesop like of industrialism and cutting down forests. If anything, it's more like taking resources, like natural resources. It's like if you keep taking, the planet's not going to be able to supply you with those resources. Like Koran was talking about how they could get the resources, but the resources would always replenish. Like, so it's saying in a way like, yeah, you can still use natural resources, but don't just take more than you can get back.
Well, and that's the whole thing about the crystals. The crystals grew on the Balmera, and then they would harvest these crystals. They would give enough energy back so that the creature didn't lose anything, and then it would grow more crystals using that.
And it's just like, wow, a subtle moral that was tied into this episode. I'm just like, incredible.
Yeah, and even then, even though it does have that message, you still have a lot of action. You still have a lot of stuff.
Some good jokes, and I do like the Balmera, like the people on the Balmera, their race. Shay's race.
Yeah.
Because they're a very cute sort of looking race. At least Shay's cute. Shay is adorable.
Yeah.
And she's got this really, like, because they have, like, these designs that are so big and bulky And
kind of Goron-esque.
oh yeah, very Goron-esque. So whenever you first see them and their eyes are even glowing in the dark, and Hunk and Kran are obviously like, ah, but then suddenly the first voice you hear is Shay's voice, and she has this really sweet, soft-spoken voice.
Like these rock people, and you're just like, oh.
And you have this a really adorable voice coming out of this like rock creature, and I'm just like, expectations completely just dashed. And I'm just like, I like this, and she's just 100% the most cinnamon roll to ever cinnamon roll. But it's so cute because of Hunk had such an impact on her, and she's so naive, the most naive and obviously sheltered character probably.
Yeah.
And then her brother, as I jokingly called, I don't even remember what her brother's name is. I just kept calling him Johnny Raincloud.
Yeah, he pretty much was. He was such a pessimist.
Until he finally had character development later when they returned to the Balmera, but that's another episode. But Shay was just so innocent and so cute and so sweet, and Hunk having just such an effect on her. And oh gosh, whenever Hunk was just like saying like, that's what we, Voltron, we're gonna do. We're gonna stop the Gara Empire, and then you guys can all be free. And then just hearing her say, free? What's that? And I'm just like, oh! I'm just like, save her! And just seeing Hunk just immediately, just 100%, I'm gonna save this girl, I'm gonna save this girl, I'm gonna save this girl. And it was just so funny, because then you go into the next episode when they meet Rolo, and him and that one chick, and the little robot. And Hunk's just like, yeah, whatever, anyways, we gotta go, we gotta save Shay, and blah, 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 blah. And I was just like, wow, they have like a very small romantic subplot for Hunk done in like probably just a handful, like maybe just 2 or 3 episodes.
Yeah, I would say 2 episodes in the one, and they go to the Balmera, and one, and they return in season 2.
And as I was saying, once again, because everything circles back to our salt at Legend of Korra, and I'm like, wow, in 2 episodes, Hunk had a much better subplot done than for anybody in Legend of Korra romantically.
Well, it's funny, there's we'll talk about this a little bit more when we get to like the actual writing of the series. But, there is some, what seems to be very subtle romantic development, but it's done in a way that's not like Legend of Korra.
Not in your face constantly.
Yeah.
It's letting things develop naturally. And so it's really cute that Hunk would just have such a soft spot for something that obviously in Earth standards would not be attractive in Earth standards, but it's because she's so sweet and so kind, and obviously to Hunk, that's all that matters, because Hunk is just a big teddy bear himself.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, of course, Hunk found a fellow teddy bear. And I'm just like, aww, like it was cute. And so their interactions are probably some of my favorite reasons why, because if Shay's so naive and Hunk is, just trying to teach her some things, and it was just genuinely heartwarming. And what else? Because the last episode from season 1 I really liked. I'm trying to think.
Oh, the one where Allura and Shiro go and infiltrate the Galra ship, and she sacrifices.
That was good too, but it wasn't my favorite. It wasn't one that I watched over and over like some of the others in season 1. Oh, you know what actually is my favorite episode? It's the episode right before the episode where the bomb, when they do that.
Oh, yeah.
Whenever they introduce the Erusians. Because of, as I was saying to him, where I'm like, wow, it feels like we literally are watching something that would be in Avatar: The Last Airbender. From the way the Erusians are, to the comedy of the Erusians, to the music that's used for whenever the Erusian does the dance of apology. It literally sounds exactly like something you'd hear in Avatar: The Last Airbender. It was so funny. Voltron was doing a better job at making me feel nostalgic for Avatar: The Last Airbender than The Legend of Korra. Again, I'm a broken record, but I'm sorry, but we're salty for Legend of Korra, and it's just going to keep coming back to that.
Well, and considering that there's so many people who were involved in Avatar: The Last Airbender, and some people who are involved in Legend of Korra, it feels like there's so much stuff that feels like it came straight from Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Which is so funny, because it's a Voltron reboot, but I'm feeling nostalgic for both Voltron and Avatar, and I'm like, that is not a bad thing. But there was just that whole scene. It was funny. The comedy of that episode was really great.
Well, like that one little guy that hugged Keith, and Keith is just like, okay, and I don't like it. And then this little guy goes, hey, thanks.
Well, you see everybody, like, they're all hugging all the cute little Erusians, and Keith, because he's the stoic, serious guy who's always in the corner, who's brooding, and he's just kind of just walking around being all serious, and then one little Erusian just jumps up and glomps him and holds on to him. Keith is just like, wow, I don't really do hugs, but man, you guys sure are cuddly. And then he goes to like rub its head, and then suddenly it just smiles and opens his eyes and it goes, thank you. He just like stops and has
Yeah, you can actually see Keith's face. He's like,
like just I was not expecting that voice to come out. It's just like it's like suddenly you saw an adorable little pigtailed girl, like who looks about 3 years old, bright blonde hair, blue eyes, and suddenly she has the voice of the guy from the Allspice commercials coming out of her mouth. Like it's that kind of comedy. We're just like, okay, not what I was expecting to come out of something so cute and small. Like maybe more childlike voice, but it was like with Shay, you see these scary eyes, so you're expecting a scary voice, and suddenly you see this like adorable, cute, sweet voice, and I'm just like, they really love like
subverting your expectations.
Subverting your expectations.
And these are the kinds of expectations you do subvert, because I do know a lot of people like to talk about that. And it's not, and some people don't understand that.
Subvert your expectations for comedy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not like subvert your expectations for a logical progression of the show. It's like, yeah, it's like you don't, like when they bring in Prince Lotor, it's not like, ha, look, we killed Prince Lotor off screen. We subverted your expectations, and yeah, you did something dumb too. It's no. It's these little things that you subvert our expectations were.
Well, the one time where I will say plot relevant was the whole Galriki thing, and I'm like, okay, you subverted an expectations. I will have forever, you guys. From that alone, I'm like, nope, I'm gonna forever have trust in you guys because of.
That was so brilliant.
That was great. You handled the plot line I thought I was gonna hate really well. But that episode, but the jokes, oh my gosh, the jokes is with the originals. Like I love it. It's just like the dance of apology. And like I said, then you hear that freaking music.
Well, it's really funny because Allura's like,
stop, this isn't necessary. And they're thinking, oh, she hates the dance of apology, and she just like hates them. They're like, stop. The lion goddess has rejected the dance of apology. Quick, we must throw ourselves into the sacrificial fire.
And you see these Arushas are just ready to throw themselves into a bonfire, and then she's like, whoa, whoa.
The best part was first whenever he says, quick, we must throw ourselves into like the sacrificial fire. As he turns, you see they're already setting up this fire, like they were ready for it, for her to reject them. But what's even great is whenever you see Allura, she's like, wait, stop. And then Gilligan cuts immediately, like, to the bonfire. Somehow there's a guy tied up on a log that was not there. They were ready to just throw this poor little.
And she's like, stop. Okay, no, the dance of apology is fine.
But it was so funny because it was like, how did you have time to do that? Because it was literally done at the snap finger. It's that kind of comedy that was so funny. This very snappy comedy where it's just like that guy was not there before, not tied up on a stick that they're ready to just throw in. But it's just like, no, we don't have to explain it because it's funny. And that episode was just funny. And granted, it was pulling into setting up that, but oh gosh, I love that episode. That was funny. Anyways, season 2 now. Oh gosh.
I think the first one that comes to mind talking about favorites is the malls, the Space Mall.
Yeah. Okay. That episode is without a doubt, hands down, the funniest episode. Even with whenever it would bring you back to plot with Shiro, because Shiro brought you back to plot. But that episode was hilarious. Oh my gosh. Like I said, we marathoned the show, but we decided, no, we're just going to watch Space Mall twice because it's just that enjoyable.
Well, and it's funny because it does so many things. You get a lot of interesting, like, context for the universe, because they established very early on in the episode with Corin that he's been to this area before, and it's run by these dastardly space pirates.
And it's like a black market essentially.
Yeah. So, but then you get there and it's
cleaned up.
It's a traditional mall.
And the episode is freaking literally titled Space Mall.
Yeah, they don't even try to come up with something clever or a name for it. It's literally just a Space Mall. Well, and it's like all these little jokey stuff going on there. It's like...
Oh, and there's freaking literally Space Paul Blart.
Yeah.
He's even got like...
Varcon.
He's got even a hover...
Segway.
A hover Segway.
Yeah, and he's this fat mall cop who takes his job way too seriously.
And he's got like a poster of Zarkon in his locker.
Yeah,
but it's all...
It's this like propaganda heroic Zarkon poster. And it's like, and he's like, "Don't worry, Lord Zarkon.
Your number 2 is here to defend your while you're away." Like Zarkon would care about some mall somewhere in the middle of space.
Yeah, and it's really funny because it, like I said, it cuts between this and a serious, and it doesn't give you a whole lot of backstory, but it starts giving you hints at the backstory of the Lions.
But it's not like a jarring cut, like where it's like, like, wow, this is really funny, to wow, this is really dark. But it's just like, wow, this is really funny, to wow, this is story.
Yeah, and you actually get context because Shiro had been having some issues, and so he wanted to talk to work
Really
with the Black Lion,
connect with the Black Lion, so that way he wouldn't have trouble with Zarkon ever again trying to take it over. And then suddenly Zarkon's like, LOL, meet me in the astral plane, B.
Yeah, that was the funniest thing, and it's a straight up Dragon Ball Z style fight with because
I'm still waiting for somebody to just edit that and just add Dragon Ball Z.
Well, yeah, the and then the hitting.
Teleportation, the Dragon Ball Z punch sound effects, and I'm like, come on, internet, why haven't you done this for me yet? Like, you're letting me down here. Come on, somebody do it.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, but again, it's them pulling from all these straight up forces, because I literally saw Shiro pull, I can't even remember where it was, but I know it was somewhere. It was something that Goku did in the Saiyan Saga, one type of punch, like just the way it was framed, it literally, and I'm just like, that was Dragon Ball Z.
Well, and even the way Zarkon would hit Shiro, and then he'd like, he'd like zoom over and then hit him again.
And they're like flying ridiculously.
Yeah, they're flying all over the place in this astral plane, and like as fans of Dragon Ball Z, it's like, this is so cool.
I'm just like, this is great. Keep it up. I don't mind. I don't mind at all. But oh gosh, it was great. But then the funny side, like they had subplots for the characters all at the Space Mall. But what's funny is they were all humorous subplots.
Yes.
Hunk decides to go to the food court because of course Hunk is hungry. And
he accidentally takes what he thought was a free sample and ends up not being. And he gets taken in by Rapid Sal.
Yeah, a pun off of Rapid Saw.
Yeah, Rapid Saw is their like salute phrase.
For the Galra Empire. He's like,
this is Rapid Sal's.
But then the best part is whenever his cook robot dies, and Hunk's just like, I can do this, I'm a great cook, and all that stuff like that. And the guy's like, well, I don't really have any other options, so sure. And then Hunk straight up turns into Gordon Ramsay on him.
He creates an entirely new dish due to his expertise in alien culinary.
And originally this guy was bossing Hunk around and essentially making him his slave. And then it turns around, Hunk is literally just like Gordon Ramsay, and he's like, I said over medium, does this look over medium to you? And he's like, no sir. Like, I'm just like, suddenly Hunk's in control. It was delightfully hilarious. Or Keith, of course, you think it's going to be something serious because if Keith obviously knows that there's more to this blade than meets the eye.
Yeah, the blade that he's had.
The blade, because then the next episode goes straight into the Blade of Memora. Keith needs answers. So then there's this guy that is selling knives, and he's hoping maybe. So Keith is, of course, thinking he'll get something out of this. But the thing that just like Keith wants to bring something serious, but I'm like, sorry Keith, you're at a Space Mall. You can't have serious. The guy you're talking to is voiced by the ShamWow guy.
Literally. And he's like, he has these ultra sharp knives, and he's like, how many times do you have to fight off a rock monster?
Charging rock monster and the Dodo Picnic every time, right?
Yeah, it's like all these skeevy like sales tactics, and
it's just like, I don't even remember what he called his knives. He's like the whatever blades. He's like, can cut through rock monsters and the whatever the fruit, paper thin. Now how much would you pay? And I'm just like, oh my gosh. Whenever I first watched that episode, and I'm just like,
he sounds a lot like the ShamWow guy.
I'm just like, wow, is this a parody of the ShamWow guy? And then I look and I can't. Suddenly his name flew out of my head. But I did before. I was about to say his name, but you know, it's one of those moments where someone's name suddenly.
Is it Vince something?
I think it's Vince something. But as soon as I saw that, and I was like, wait a second.
That name, you look it up, and it is the ShamWow guy voicing him. Like,
I was just like, I'm like, what's next? We're gonna have some ghost that's at the Space Mall, and it's the ghost of Billy Mays.
Yeah.
Like just voicing somebody. Because why not? Because I'm like, how did you get the ShamWow guy?
Yeah. So it is funny because Keith pulls up his Blade of Memora, and he's like trying to ask for answers on it, and this guy wants to like steal it from him and like, you know, cheat him out of it.
And Keith's like, it's not for sale. And then the guy ends up calling security, so of course Keith has to be on the run, simply because he ticked off the ShamWow guy. So there's Keith's subplot.
So yeah, this is where Varkon comes in, and he's like chasing him down.
So he's chasing Keith down, which eventually Keith runs into Hunk, so then chasing them. But then, my favorite subplot, freaking, because Lance is just running around the mall flirting with a bunch of girl aliens, and then he comes across this store where there's an alien who looks like a stereotypical alien from every single 1950s under the sun. You know, the traditional, the
little green man.
The little green man, he's all lanky and he's got like the eyes like that. But his hat says 51 on it for like
and his shop he has sells Earth merchandise.
Nothing but Earth merchandise. And there's just randomly a cow there. So it's like, what, he abducted a cow?
Yeah, and he literally can't even sell it. So he's trying to...
Because nobody in this side of the universe, because Earth is so far away that nobody's obviously heard of Earth. So obviously this stuff means nothing to these people. But what's so great is Lance is like, whoa, cool Earth stuff, and he's just like all excited. And Paige comes up, just like, Lance, we are on a mission here to look for thing, and you were literally coming to one store.
And then she sees the video games,
the retro video game, like, which is straight up like
it's like a Famicom and an old like Dragon Quest or Final Fantasy game,
like type of game, like a Famicom / Super Nintendo type of game looking system. And they even freaking had the Nintendo Power Glove like in there. I'm just like,
yeah, the Power Glove that gives you infinite lives when you touch
the index finger to the pinky.
Yeah, like
I'm just like, the Nintendo Power Glove, it exists in Voltron apparently. I'm just like, oh my gosh. And it was just so funny just to see Paige suddenly just be like, like just over like this old retro video game system. And then she's just like, how much is this? And the guy's just like, 1,200 gak. And Paige is just like, how much is that? And Lance is like, well, considering we have none, a lot. And then she just drags Lance away, just like, we're gonna get some money to get this. I like, so just apparently, she just decides, nope, I'm spending the day with Lance. We're getting money and we're getting this thing. And Lance just goes with it.
And so they end up going into the
water fountain.
And they're stealing the money that people throw in for wishes.
And the best part was whatever, they were just barely under. They're so close. And they're like, but they pulled everything. And then suddenly some little kid comes up.
He's gonna throw his...
And Paige is like, Lance! And Lance is like, already on it. He does the Naruto run, dives into the fountain, jumps up, full on dolphin sound effect, catches the thing with his teeth, and then they're suddenly running away all wet. Their clothes are like filled with these coins, so baggy, and they're just like, ha ha, they run away, and then the alien kid's just like it was just so ridiculous, and it was like, but the episode had the right balance of the most ridiculous humor with plot.
Well, and even then, I think Corin is literally a balance of plot and humor, because you see, he's still operating in the entire time under the idea that this whole place is secretly a black market. So he's thinking, okay, this looks clean, but there's secretly a black market. So
but you have this teenage girl who's just sitting there, obviously, probably underpaid, just sitting there, just like, I'm literally just probably doing this to pay for a summer job for school. I hate it here. And like, Corinne is just being all weird, and she's like, he's literally, I am so out of this dump.
And he's literally like just putting money on the table, and she's like, is this you? And he's like, no,
it's King Gregory Alphonse III.
It's like, how can you not know? And he's so offended that she doesn't know who's on his 10,000-year-old money that he takes it and runs off, and he ends up in this little shop where this guy is like the most stereotypical hustler salesman.
Well, I mean, maybe not as much as the ShamWow guy, but he's right up there.
Yeah, because it has all these like, it's like a pawn shop basically, and he finds he finds these discs that he needs.
And the best part of the humor of that part was like how, as we jokingly were like, well, that sure escalated quickly, because he's like, how much have you got? Whenever he finally sees the teledub lenses, and then Corinne's just jokingly like, oh, well, I could give you some pocket change and some lint, like from his pockets. And then immediately the guy, like, because you know where one person's like, I'll give you one person's 100, and then like they go from like the buyer goes from the lowest, where the seller goes from the highest, and then they go through like these things. But so immediately Corinne's just like, the bottom of the barrel, here's some pocket lint and some spare change.
He's like, I'll take your firstborn child.
That escalated quickly, and then just Corinne just like, I could sing you a song, and
I'll take an arm and a leg.
I'll take your hand and your left foot. And then I can't remember what it is. Oh yeah, Corinne's like, I could give you an IOU, and then he's just like, you'll be my butler for a year.
No, he's like, okay, that'll work, but you'll be my butler for a year.
And then
he pulls out the floating cube.
And then they're like shouting something else. I think Corinne was saying some type of money, and then the guy was like 10,000, whatever Ming gets, or whatever type of money. And then Corinne was just like, how about this? One old-fashioned Alcaria cube. And he's just like, you got a deal. And this guy's just thinking, sweet, I just completely hustled this guy. But it was great because the episode set up that Corinne is a terrible hustler, and that the pirates just bamboozled him every time and nearly took him out of house and home, and that's why
if it wasn't for Alfor, you know, he wouldn't.
He would be like straight up probably dirt poor, because if these guys would just take him for house and home, and Corinne because soon as the guy finds out that, wait, those were actually Teletubbies and not antique, like, table toppers, like, suddenly it's like, wait, those are infinitely more rare, because those are things that you can only get from the belly of a weblum.
Yeah.
And he's just like, wait a second. He's just like, hold on just a second. And then Coran's just like, no take backs. And I'm just like, well.
And at this point, it's important to note that everyone is riding on Kulturnecker.
Oh gosh, yes.
Is on its little hoverboard, escaping from Farcon.
The best part is Keith and Hunk are like they're like, guys, security's on our tail. As you see, as Pidge finally gets her, of course, her game system, and he's just like, with a purchase you get one free Kulturnecker, which they named like this cow after the line producer Benjamin Kulturnecker, and so it's just a cow on a hoverboard, and so Lance and Pidge they take the cow with them. They're taking it. They jump on the cow, and then they go to grab Hunk and Keith to jump on board with them,
and they're like, "What's with the cow?" And they're like, "It was free with purchase."
Yeah, Pidge defends her and Lance like, "It was free with purchase." Like, yeah, the cow's coming with us. and then Coran sees in slow-mo these guys jumping from the second story on a hoverboard, all four of them,
and immediately just breaks for it to get on with it.
Yeah, he's just like, okay, just whatever, and they manage to get close to the parking lot, and then Farcon immediately stops short, doesn't pursue them. He's like, yeah, you better run.
I better not get you in my jurisdiction, because he can't go. He's a mall cop, but he can't leave the mall.
Apparently he can't leave the mall to go after them. And then, of course, Lance is just like, haha. Then he hits a sign, and then Farcon's just like, one for Farcon. I'm like, you didn't do anything. But it was just the right amount of ridiculous balanced with story. Yes, hands down, probably my favorite episode of season 2 just because of that. But there's so many good episodes in season 2. Like, there's a lot of episodes in season 2 I would rewatch over and over and over again. The first episode I really love because it's a very Keith and Shiro episode. It's got a little bit of Allura in it, which is really nice. It's got a little bit of Pidge in it too. Because if you have Pidge all alone, and it shows really how far Pidge has come, because of, especially in episode 4, because you brought that up as one of your favorite episodes, and it's a really good Pidge-centric episode, because she has flashbacks of how she kept blowing off Hunk and Lance, because granted, she was very focused on wanting to find clues about her family, and obviously they were hiding things, but then she realizes, in doing so, she's alienated herself from 2 potential friends, and for all she knew, they could have helped her, probably. And so she feels bad about that. So here we have Pidge, who's sitting all by herself. She's like, yes, I'm all alone. She's like, I'll just wait, everybody, and I'll just have some me time. Nobody to annoy me. And then you just see this look on her face, like she's not pleased.
Like, nope, I'm done with my me time.
She so she's really, and she even makes these little out of the trash and she's trying to do impersonations of everybody. I love the Coran impersonation. It was like blah blah blah, crazy stuff, mustache.
And Lance is like, oh, is that a girl?
Oh, is that a girl? And oh no, I feel sick for Hunk. I'm gonna throw up. And then Keith's just like blah blah blah, brooding and emotional stuff. I don't even remember the line for Keith, but it was just something just basically here's the lone wolf stereotype, Keith. And then you have she's just like, she goes to Shiro, guys, we can do this, we're a team. And then she's Laura, she's like, paladins please. She's trying to do impersonations of everybody. It was cute.
It was hilarious.
And it was hilarious and endearing. We're just like, aw, Pidge misses all her new friends. And I'm like, that's so cute.
But it's really funny when she's sitting in this debris field and
with these cute little...
Well, no, it's funny because they're introduced as these seemingly nasty things with these glowing eyes.
Just like with Shay and her brother.
They float up and they're like those little they're like Karibos in Yu-Gi-Oh.
No, actually, you know what I was thinking?
Tribbles.
Tribbles. I was thinking of that from Star Trek. I was deliberately thinking of those things.
Yeah.
I was just like, I'm like, Tribbles, alright, cool. Pigeon Tribbles, I can get behind this. Except they're so much more cuter because they Avatar the Last Airbender out of these things, because they even make little squeaky sound effects when they're all next to each other. It's so cartoony and cute. But yeah, that was a cute moment. And then you have Allura and Coran constantly de-aging, and that was...
Yeah, because they got stuck in this wormhole loop.
Constantly. And it was funny, but at the same time, what I really loved is people pointed out, they're like, wow, the 2 really, the young little kid versions of Coran, from both the little Coran, the child Coran, to toddler Coran, were actually voiced by Coran, his voice actor, his 2 sons. His 2 little sons, his actual little, I don't know, probably 4 or 5-year-old something kid, and an actual toddler. And I'm just like, That's so funny. And I'm like, and that's actually really adorable. But the funniest part about it is child Corinne still has a mustache. And then whenever you see baby Corinne, the mustache is set on his head, like where a bang would be. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. But it was just like, so it's constantly a funny moment, but then you have that moment where it shows a little bit of insight into Corinne and Alora's relationship, because if Corinne is constantly de-aging, and then Alora's just like so heartbroken because she knows if they go through any further when he's baby Corinne, he's going to cease to exist because it just keeps de-aging him and de-aging and de-aging him, and then there's going to be nothing left. And she heartbreakingly holds little baby Corinne. She's like, I'm so sorry, because she couldn't do anything to help him. She's just like, you were like a second father to me. And I'm like, oh! And I'm just like, that really got me in the feels. It's not just simply a loyal retainer, servant slash like advisor, and the princess he suddenly became a father figure to her, like over the years that she's been with him after she lost her father. And I'm like, it's just that little insight that really just like, I love it. Like this episode keeps like doing, they'll introduce little moments like that. But of course, like I said, the moment that I love the most from the first episode was solely all that stuff with Keith and Shiro. It was really great seeing a lot of that, because we knew those two knew each other, especially from the first episode. You could tell that they had a history, but the show never really delved into it. We just knew that they knew each other before all this stuff happened, and that they were good friends. But we didn't know how far back it goes. The show still doesn't show you how far back it goes.
But from
what we're hinted at, we just know that at some point Shiro met Keith, and Keith would have had a very different life had he not met Shiro. And we know
I guess it's implied that, you know, since he was orphaned,
that Shiro
might have actually taken him in and raised him. Almost.
Probably, because if Keith must have some serious abandonment issues, as the season starts to hint at, because one of his biggest fears is Shiro like rejecting him and leaving. And even if people noticed in season 1 when he got really angry with Pidge because if Pidge was going to leave, and people took that as Keith was afraid, you know, because of like Keith probably has abandonment issues. Sure, he didn't know Pidge that well, but it's like Keith didn't take that all too well. And just like, so we're getting hints at stuff like this. So this episode is the one that really starts to really dive into it. You only got a little tiny snippet of it in the first episode of season 1, but this one really dives into it a lot and shows you that obviously Keith really values Shiro a lot, and Shiro really depends on Keith. Just like how, as you learned in season 3, that's supposed to be, they were already setting up that's what the dynamic between the black and the red paladin is supposed to be. It's supposed to be the leader and the second in command, the right-hand man.
Someone who's supposed to give them advice and basically...
And someone that they explicitly can depend on and trust. And so obviously for Keith and Shiro, that was always natural because of the history that they had. And I liked it because of... I love Keith and Shiro's friendship. Like, oh my god.
Honestly, I always love, I mean, I mentioned this before in previous topic videos, I always love these found family things, especially, you know, adoptive fathers or mothers and stuff.
Or brothers and sisters.
Or in this case, it's like adoptive brothers.
And they have such a great relationship. Any moment between Keith and Shiro, even the small moments, like whenever they hugged before Keith left in season 2, whenever he went with Hunk to go on that really dangerous mission, like just that one hug, I was just like, you guys make me cry. But I just love the moments between Keith and Shiro. Like, they play off each other really well.
And you can see the history between them and the way they interact.
It's so funny. We don't have context, but you can feel it. The way these actors, the way Josh Keaton and, oh dang it, I just forgot the name. He was in The Walking Dead, and actually people noticed because the people were pissed off whenever Keith's actor died in The Walking Dead. The air date of that episode in The Walking Dead where his character died, I think the character I remember was named like Glenn something in The Walking Dead.
Glenn, the Asian guy.
Yeah, that character. So the date that character died, and the episode air date is October 23rd, which they revealed to be Keith's birthday. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So a lot of Walking Dead fans were like, oh my gosh, they did just not. And then people were like, Glenn died so Keith could live.
Stephen Yeun.
Yes, that's his name. Thank you. I couldn't remember. I was I know it starts with an S. Stephen Yeun. Stephen Yeun and Josh Keaton are really good. Like, oh my gosh, their scenes together, like, without even knowing the context of their backstory, even in the first episode, when the two of them were standing side by side and just talking, you could feel the emotion behind their words of like, yes, these are two guys who have known each other for so long and obviously have always had each other's backs.
Yeah, and you see a lot more of that when you get into the Blade of Marmora And
Oh my gosh.
that's another great
I
episode.
love that episode. But another episode I also do love, I just want to quickly point out, was actually episode 2 with the mermaid episode.
Oh, yeah.
Because of it's great Hunk and Lance moments, and it gives you a little more, because people were all like, Lance didn't get a whole lot of moments in season 2. And I'm like, no, but the moments that he did get in season 2 were episodes I really liked. And I also liked Hunk with like working with Lance with the whole mermaid thing. It showed a little bit more of Hunk and Lance's friendship, which yeah, it's the same amount of like what you saw in season 1. It's more of the same, of the exact dynamic of Lance and Hunk. It was fine. I like their dynamic. They're funny friends. They're those two guys like you would see in any other show, except now they're main characters instead of background characters who are just those two guys who are always best friends. But I liked it because of, it's funny to see goofy old Lance being forced into being like the hero character who has to be the savior because of, it's Lance. And, but because of, you know, Lance's, his dream was just to, obviously to see just a bunch of pretty little mermaids, and then it's just like, but then there's this whole plot, but it's also because of the 3 rebel mermaids were a lot of fun because they have a bunch of jellyfish in their heads, but then you find out one of them's voiced by Weird Al Yankovic. That's another reason I love
he's
it.
the one main conspiracy theorist who has all he illustrates his conspiracies.
I just liked that episode because it had some great Hunk and Lance jokes, and those two are just, they're fun. I love Hunk and Lance. They're just fun characters, and just seeing Lance like just being so happy because he's just like, and seeing a planet of alien mermaids is also kind of really cool. And the episode subverts expectations in ways I didn't expect, because of initially you're like, oh yeah, something is suspect about these mermaids. Like,
Obviously, the queen is controlling them.
obviously the queen controlling them, and then she's evil, and then you find out. But then a part of me is like, no, maybe
It seems too obvious.
I'm like, that seems too obvious. The show's going to subvert my expectations. It's actually going to be something else. But then I was like, no, wait, no, okay, no, she is suspect. But then you find out, no, wait, my first instinct was correct. She was also being brainwashed, but she was being brainwashed by this thing.
This monster
that was wanting to eat all the mermaids, but it was using the queen, because of the queen's the one in control, to basically give it slowly but surely food. And like, I was like, wow.
dark.
Wow! And what made it even worse is because of that's the food that all the mermaids have been eating. And
It's mind controlling them with its food that it grows on itself.
The fertilizer is people!
Yes, Soylent Green is people.
It's a cookbook! A cookbook! I was just like, oh wow! And I'm like, and Hunk and Lance also ate that.
Some fava beans and a nice candy. But
Yikes! And I'm just like, that was the one part of an actually pretty lighthearted episode where you're just like, yikes! But it was still a very enjoyable episode, and I did like the designs for the mermaids. It's like alien, but also very fishy and mermaid. I was actually thinking of, they actually kind of remind me of like what we would think of as mermaids, you know, with the fishtail, but the way they're designed also kind of remind me of the Zoras too in Legend of Zelda.
oh yeah,
Like-
Zora's had mermaid.
More mermaid features, like if they had like tails instead of legs. Like it was really, I really liked how, and I also liked how each and every mermaid wasn't like copy and pasted, like just a recolored version. Because if I noticed in this show a lot, they do tend to kind of copy and paste some of the same aliens in like huge giant group shots. Like I saw it in the Space Mall, I saw it in season 3 when Lotor's like fighting in that arena. Like it's a lot of the same aliens.
Well, it's
copied
like
and pasted.
it's except for the handful of important characters.
Yeah, except for the handful of the important ones. But no, this one, the mermaids, they're not really copy and pasted. I mean, barring the guards, but that's because they're, in a uniform and stuff like that. But each of the mermaids kind of have, even if some of the mermaids have similar designs, like, because some of the girl mermaids do have some similar designs and just some things recolored, but they'll have maybe like a different, like the way their fins are from here are different, or maybe they'll have, one girl will have like a couple little antennas here or something like that, almost like a moth almost. And then another little girl, it'll just be hair, or like just like, and the queen, I actually was saying this to you, and I'm like, it's funnily enough, even though she turns out to actually be not so bad, her design almost made me think of like an alien Ragio from Kill la Kill, because of like, she was very like bright colors, but also because the way her hair was shaped, and the way
She had the colors in the hair.
and the way she creepily said everything is safe and warm. Just made me think of how manipulative Ragyo was. And I'm just like, and how, like, well, granted, it was much more PG of how she did things. Except, not really, except how she controlled people was cannibalism. Not that they knew it was, but yikes!
There is no war in Ba Sing Se.
Yeah, but it was just like, but I liked these designs because I felt like it was hearkening to other things, but it subverted my expectations because of, with that mindset of like, oh wow, she looks like Ragyo, it's like, well, obviously she's a straight up B. But then it's like, no, actually she's actually a good person. She was just also being manipulated by this creature that was probably going to end up probably saving her for last to eat. But, and of course, as I said before, Weird Al Yankovic is in the episode. You can't go wrong with Weird Al Yankovic.
These celebrity cameos are just insane.
It's just so good. But yeah, okay, the Blade of Mamor episode, another great Shiro and Keith episode. Oh my gosh.
This is another one of those episodes where, like in the first episode of the season, he's referencing, like, you know, if something happens to me, you're going to be leading Voltron.
Yeah, the first episode of season 1, that's what Shiro says to Keith. And Keith is just thinking, oh, you know, he's just...
Silly Shiro, that's never going to happen.
He was deeply injured. He was being chased by creatures, so he thought Shiro was just, you know, panicking, thinking, this is it, this is going to be my moment.
By the way, Keith, you're going to be in charge if anything happens to me. And
well, and you know, probably, you know, like a very quick decision moment, like if something happens in war, you're going to have to immediately assign somebody to be next in command. It would make sense Shiro would pick Keith. He's known Keith the longest. He knows Keith very well. And so, but then this episode once again references it, and even Keith has this look. I still remember that meme that on Tumblr where one person, where they took that shot of where Shiro's saying to Keith, you need to learn to keep on your head straight if you're going to lead Voltron someday, and somebody took that shot where Keith's just sitting there, and then somebody photoshopped Keith's face over that girl, was like nervous laughter, what the F?
Yeah. Because that's pretty much his reaction.
Because Keith had that face, we're just like, what the F?
Well, it's like, he was so shook by that reaction.
So shook.
Like, he actually started drifting from the very careful path they had to do.
Almost like into the freaking black hole. I was like, Shiro, you're gonna give this poor boy an existential crisis. Stop scaring him half to death. Like, to the point where you both will die, and now who's gonna take over Voltron?
Yeah. And it's also interesting in that episode, something else, not really directly related to Shiro and Keith, is that this episode is part of an arc involving Allura's bigotry towards the Galra.
Well, I mean, and it makes sense. It's not trying to say that Allura is a horrible person, because it's like, it's an understanding bigotry.
Well, and you understand that the Galra...
Her life was ruined by the Galra. And so, and then she was asleep for 10,000 years. The Galra have spread all across the Empire and are starting to control everything very tyrannically. So at that point, she's never even heard of the Blade of Mamora, and yet they've been this force that have existed for 10,000 years, like secretly, trying to covertly, like stop Zarkon here and there where they could, because of, you know, their numbers are far smaller. They had to play it safe. But so Allura had no context of that, and so to her it's almost insulting, because of her entire race is dead. These people are all in control and doing all these horrible things, and she's seen the horrible things. Like look at the Erusians. She tried to welcome them with open arms. The Galra freaking blew up a bomb and took advantage of Allura's hospitality in that moment to these people, because Allura was trying to be all peacekeeping. So yeah, to her, she hasn't had the chance to meet a good Galra, because as we were watching season 3 and we realized in hindsight, Allura would have had to grow up knowing that Zarkon was at war with them, and probably hearing stories that he was the Black Paladin, but she was a baby when he was a good guy. So she would have had to grow up constantly seeing her father and the other paladins fighting Zarkon. So all she ever would have known was war with them. And so then she comes back, and now they're all like fully in control and have taken over everything. And the war was lost. I'll tell you, lost that war. Her home planet was destroyed. So for all she knew, for all we know, at the moment, it's just her and Karen. They're the last Alteans.
Well, and really, a lot of the details, especially when you get to season 3, Allura knew some of the stuff about Zarkon, and I mean, she might even when she was younger, she may have even known it, because we saw some of her flashbacks show her as not too much younger. You know, we see things were peaceful. But, you know, we know that when Zarkon went to war with them, that a lot of this stuff is what Karan knew. Because he was there, and
yeah, he personally would have had to have known Zarkon just like Alfor, because he was there. Allura was a baby
when the Zarkon started
going down the deep end slowly.
But I mean, granted, it still took 28 decaphoebs before he.
Again, I don't know.
We don't know what a decaphoebe is.
Gosh dang it, guys! You keep using terms like Varga and decaphoebe. We figured out that Tix is basically like a longer version of a second, and I'm like, but gosh, and they used another word somewhere too, which I don't even know what that means. And I'm just like, explain, what do these terms mean? And whenever I see like the human characters using it when Allura and Coran are nowhere in sight.
It's like, please.
I'm like, guys, you're from Earth. You can use Earth terms around each other. You don't have to
explain to us what a decaphoebe is.
Like, okay, whenever you're saying it when Coran and Allura are in the room, that's fine. They don't understand Earth terms like minutes, hours, days, and decades or whatever and stuff like that because they have their own words for it. But gosh dang it, for the audience, help us out.
Yeah,
but oh gosh, but yeah,
we were talking about the
Blade of Memore episode. It was so good because of, again, this season 2 definitely was focusing more on Keith, definitely really building him up. Because we all know in the original show Keith was the leader, so they're
they were really building up Keith being the leader.
They're really showing you his character, really showing you and building him and showing his insecurities and building his relationship. Like, well, at least not building. The relationship was built long ago before we had a chance to see it, but showing us snippets of it and why Shiro means so much to him. Like you're seeing hints of this and. That episode, gosh, it hit me so hard, especially whenever Keith had that illusion, and then Shiro's just like, is that a hologram? Like, what are you guys doing to him? Like, Shiro's just like fearing the worst, and he's just like, it's his suit. It's like some sort of defense mechanism that the suit can do. It can project sometimes your greatest wants and your greatest fears. So like Keith's greatest want, because eventually he starts to hallucinate that he's seeing his father again, and because his father's long gone. And he's never met his mother, and his father's promising him answers, something he's wanted his whole life, answers about his mother, answers about this blade that belonged to his mother, and yet in his dream, because he wants to be with his father and he wants answers, but his fear, seeing Earth invaded by the Galra, and the Galra are coming and coming and coming, and they're coming closer.
And his father just keeps saying, just wait here, wait here, wait
and Keith's just like, I can't wait. If I wait, it'll be too late.
He's like, she'll be here soon.
And he's just like, I can't wait, because if Keith knows, like, because of his fear, you know, obviously, is because he's developed a new family, new friends, these people that he's close to, and he doesn't want anything bad to happen to them. And so he literally rejected getting answers for something he's wanted to know his whole life.
To go and help people.
So that's the thing it played. But one of the things it did before that was suddenly, it was that line that that one Galra, I can't remember his name, but the commander dude,
yeah.
in the Blade of Memore, basically says to Shiro, and he's like, it's just a hologram. His suit is projecting a hologram, talking about how it projects your greatest fears and your greatest desires of what you want. And he's like, and right now your friend desperately wants to see you. And I was like, because Keith is in a really vulnerable moment, and of course, who does Keith trust more than anyone? Shiro, who's always been there for him ever since his family's disappeared, as far as we know.
And we have this great line where he's like, Shiro, you've always been like a brother to me.
Oh my gosh, and it hit me so hard. But what was great was because of even hologram Shiro is trying to give him advice at first, like normal Shiro would, where he's saying is like, you don't need this. He's just like, we're all the family you need, Keith, which you know that's probably what the real Shiro would say. But then suddenly this Shiro starts to turn hostile.
Yeah, it gets really aggressive.
Like, he's just like, fine. He's just like, if you're going to turn your, like continue doing this, he's just like, you turn your back on all this and I'm done. And then suddenly Keith starts to panic, realizing, oh no, I pushed away the only family I've, like, known for some time. Like, shit, he's just, like, begging Shiro to come back. And I was just like, stop hurting me like this, man. Like, because I'm a sucker for family feels, especially surrogate family feels. And it's just like, ugh, stop hurting this way. And even you could see Shiro starting to get really ticked off with how much they're just like, it's like basically torture to poor Keith. Like, he's just like, you guys are beating him up, and now this is mental torture to the poor kid. He's like, Shiro's just like, only I'm the one that can endure all this stress. Just dad mode activate. Or big bro mode activate, whatever. But it's just, oh gosh, and he's just like, I had enough of this, and he keeps constantly trying to like run out of there, and they just keep having to grab Shiro and hold him back, and he's just Shiro just like, let me help my bro, man. Just, oh gosh, I love that
Well,
episode.
you also get to see the Red Lion like go nuts.
Oh yeah, the Red Lion just go nuts. Have you seen my son? So as people pointed out, whenever Keith first meets the Red Lion, he's like, "It's me, Keith, your paladin." It's like scene at 5:04. LOL, new phone. Who dis? And then it's like Red Lion in season 2. Have you seen my son? Like. But I like that change of the lions where they have like this psychic bond with their paladins. But I like how the lions are like thinking beings, obviously. So
yeah, they're capable of changing thought. And one of the things, and this is going back to the paladin switch, because I know that's what
Yeah,
you're leading into.
yeah.
That was part 2 of the 3-part Voltron topic. Part 1 will be linked right here, and part 3 will be linked right here, and that'll be up as soon as I can finish it, which should be a couple days. So, thank you for watching, and make sure to watch part 3 to see the finale of this topic.